Hello there. In this video, we're going to look at how you can create a custom programming question on Equip. Equip has a large library of programming questions, but if you're interested in creating your own question with your own problem statement, your own test cases, then Equip allows you to do that. We're going to understand how you can create a problem like this, right? This is a very straightforward problem. It says extract first character. Let me move this there. The problem statement is given a string S, return the first character of the string. So if the input is AAA, the expected output is A. If it is BC, it is B, and so on. All right. If you go into your custom test section, actually let me start over. If you go into your custom test section, you'll see here that we have different test types, and this is the coding challenge, and I'd highly recommend that you open this how to create so you understand the documentation. Let me go into it. This is, so extract first character for the demo. Now we have three different coding types. There's programming, there's SQL, and CSS. Programming is what I just showed you, where you have these languages that are enabled. And there's also a timer. I'm going to run out of time, so I'm going to reload this. It's a programming test. We have SQL and CSS, which are different test types. Looking at programming, we can set a duration. You should also set points, and this is only for internal purposes. If you create multiple problems, then this is sort of telling you what the difficulty level is, right? These are just some general settings. Now, for the test details itself, the problem statement is what you see here. Right, is what you see here, and you can, if you actually click on this preview, you will see what each element corresponds to. So there's a compiler, there's a problem statement, sample test cases, estimated time. So we show you what each of them correspond to in the real test. All right, so let me get back. So problem statement is just markdown. So I can write, I can just write extract. We give you some helpful sections, but you could do what you want with it. Let me reload this before it runs out of time. Okay, so this is what you saw on the left side of the statement. So this could be anything you want. We then get to select the different compilers, so the different languages you want to enable. We have a list of languages, C, C++, and so on. Let me actually, I'm most familiar with Python, so let me just choose Python. Right. Then there's a section on boilerplate. Now, the way the programming test works is once the candidate writes the code and submits it, we actually execute the code against some inputs, and then we read the output, right? So this reading the input kind of operation is done by the boilerplate. Okay, you can actually you can set this to null. You can set the boilerplate to null. Then all the reading and writing operations must be done by the candidate. We highly recommend that you do the basically the read and write operations, and let the candidate focus only on the core functionality, right? So for example, here extract first character of the string. There must be some code written that Python will execute to read the string, whatever the test case is. Either you could do this or the candidate can do this. We recommend that you set up the boilerplate, and when the candidate submits, this boilerplate is added to the candidate's code, so that the candidate only handles the functional aspect and the input-output operations are handled by the boilerplate. There are two boilerplates, compiler and user. Compiler is hidden from the candidate. So in this case, for example, is the read-write operation that is hidden from the candidate. The user boilerplate is what is written here, right? So it's basically like the starter code that the candidate sees. All this is explained here in the add a coding challenge help desk article. So it also gives you the different boilerplates. So what some people call driver code. Let me go in. So if it's a single line input, I can select amongst different languages, and for Python, this is the compiler boilerplate, right? So it's very simple. If it's a single line input, it's reading the input as string, and when this is the input operation, and the output operation is it executes the function and then it prints it to screen, right? So you can see here it executes and prints it to screen. Now this is what we call user boilerplate. This is basically starter code. And extract first character is very similar to what you see here, extract first character. right? So this is what loads. Now the candidate can make changes here, but remember that extract first character, which is defined here, is what is being called here. So if the candidate changes this to something else when they start the test, the code will not execute. Okay. So this is the compiler boilerplate. Now the sample test cases, I can have, for example, ABC, and I can choose A, and so on, right? So X, Y, Z, I choose X. So sample test cases are what are shown here, right? So I would have had to write AAA if I wanted to replicate this. Sample is what the candidate sees and how they would run tests. The sort of real test cases are what we execute against the code in the backend, right? So here I can again have something else, 1, 2, 3, and 1. This is not visible to the candidate, right? So these the candidate can see. This is not visible to the candidate. There are some anti-cheating settings which are common to all tests. You can take a look at these, but this is basically it, right? It's very, very straightforward. If you add a different language, if you added JavaScript, right, you'll have to write the boilerplate for JavaScript as well. So I can go in and I can pick JavaScript, and I can write the boilerplate for JavaScript as well, right? I just copy paste this and I copy paste that. It will work. I'm just going to remove it. So for each language that you enable, you will have to write the boilerplate. This article, like I said, has all the boilerplates. We have a section for if it's a single line input. Sometimes you may want to read in, for example, an array, right? And the array will have something like this, right? So it's an array. You need to talk about the length of the array, the actual elements of the array, and so on. And so if you have multiple lines of input, then you will have to have them as different lines that you're reading. So you'll have here, for example, right? So different languages will have different boilerplates. But anyway, everything is mentioned here, and that's basically it, right? So you, if I go back, there is some metadata. Then there's a problem statement which is marked down, so you can write whatever you want. Then the core part is selecting the compilers, writing the compiler and user boilerplate, and then setting the test cases, right? So these are obviously mandatory. This is for the candidate to test. This is what happens in the backend, and you save. So with this, let's just preview this. It takes a little bit of time because it has to set up the problem statement, and now we have it here, right? So I can go back to the custom test. I've written extract first character demo is the test. If I preview this, it will open here. So I only wrote this section, so I see only this. All right, and the test cases I've written are here. Let me just run something, right? So if I say return str of 0, run the test. I hope I used str there. Yeah, okay, str. There you go, right? So it's run this. If I just return the entire string and run it, this should be ABC, and it's ABC, right? So it's wrong. So this is how you create a custom programming test. Once you've created it, you can add it to your assessment, and then candidates can take the coding test. All right, thank you.